Alright, today I am going to be breaking down multiband compressing slash limiting. This is something that's been, I don't know, coming up more and more in conversations I've been having with other engineers about, how these guys are getting these great pop kind of bright mixes, but they're not too crazy. But, I think the multiband limiting has a lot to do with it. I'm going to go over it with some drums today, just so you can kind of hear how it affects each part of the spectrum. Basically, if you break down the word multiband, it's many bands. So you can usually have four. If you look at it like in a live sound, if anybody's done live sound with a big system, you take your lows, shoot them out to the subs. Like take everything under 120 here. That would be my sub information. Those would go to the subs. And then I would take everything from, say, 120 to 500 out to the low mid speakers, 500 to 250 out to the high mid speakers, and then, 250 above, or 2.5 and above out to the tweet at the top. So, this crossover stuff, you can tweak it. It doesn't have to be these numbers. It can be any number you want. Just make sure you don't cross over too much or leave too much space in between, because they get kind of phasey if you overlap, one way or another. So anyways, in the studio, it breaks these down, into different bands, and then you can compress them in different ways, and then they come back together, in a sum down here to make your complete drum sound. So going through it, here's the drum loop first of all. Alright, this is basic loop. So here's our low frequencies. Okay, you gotta be careful, don't compress the lows too much. Because they kind of flake out and, flop around down there if you do that too much. Slight compression on these, maybe take the ratio down a little more. Not a lot of attack, easy release, so you can really kind of let the sub and low information hit. I wouldn't compress that too much. Here's our low mids right here. Got those going from 120 to 500. This is the really woofy, like the boxy part of the drums here. You gotta kind of be careful about how much you let this sit in your mix, because it can really kind of make or break how clear and how much attack your drum sounds have on the high end by how much of this low mid you have in there. So what I like to do with these is kind of smash it. And then play with the release, and then maybe attack a little bit. And then you loosen up your threshold a little bit. And then here we go with high mids. These are 500 to 2.5K. This is where you really get the point of your snare, kind of the ting, the ringy part if you got a ringy snare. You can kind of control that too if you want to. Our snare is really ringy right there, so maybe you dip this down a little bit. I don't know, that might affect some other parts of the drum sound too. So anyways, same thing. Bring it down in there and kind of smash it a little bit. Now here on this one, you can really hear the difference in attack. So it's it's kind of like, it's almost like ducking from the hi-hat to the snare in this band. So you kind of got to be careful about how much you compress this, but it's getting a lot of snare information on the high mids here. So that's where a lot of that point in the smack is going to come from. And then here's your highs. Now, first of all, be careful with these highs here. If you do this, listen to the highs for too long, and you come back to your mix, it's going to sound muddy and dead. I would, if you have to work with this for more than a minute or 2 or 5, I would leave the room for 5 minutes, go get something to drink, walk around outside, then come back, because it's really going to kind of change the way you hear your mix when you get all this super high information. It kind of overloads your ears, and then you go back and you're like, whoa, what happened to my mix? Why does it sound like poop? Here's the highs. Let them breathe a little bit there. Now, just a warning here. I'm adjusting these individually to taste, but I don't really know. I've kind of worked with the whole thing before I started this video, so to get a decent sound, so I wouldn't be searching around for this while you guys were watching. But you kind of adjust each one how you think you should, and then bring back the whole thing, bring the whole thing in, and then you can kind of tweak each one again. So now this is pretty cool right here. When you check this out, when you kind of drop the threshold on this low mid, you hear the woofiness kind of come in and out, so you can adjust that one. Here's the high mids. This one's pretty cool too. Really get a low punchy snare, and you know what, I don't know, I'm just going to be crazy right here. I'm going to duplicate this one. I know it's getting nuts, right? Take the gain down a little bit on each one. So I like this low punchy sound right there. I really love low, like kind of bushy kind of snares. So what I'm going to do with this one here is I'm going to kind of take another band of this one and then compress it differently and bring in a little more of that point. I don't know if this is even going to work or if this is going to create phase issues. I don't know what's going on right now. I'm just going with it. Yeah, I totally created phase issues. Anyways, it's a good try. So I guess I'll just have to split the difference here. Now the highs. The highs kind of control the hi-hats a little bit if you got a wild drummer who's all over the place with the hi-hats. They kind of get ducked a little bit with the snare, but I'm sure if you set it right, it'd work. I don't know. So that's my take on multiband compression. Obviously, I've got these limiters underneath here. Same kind of concept, except limiters are just a little more, can make it a little trashier, faster. I was kind of hasty with those, just bringing them up, but that's another option you can use. And that really kind of makes your drums breathe a little bit more and pop a little more. I don't know, you can hear the room mics pumping in a little more, you know, everything else. So anyways, use this on keyboards, use it on bus all your instruments to a bus, send it to this, use this on drums, use this on a master channel. I don't know. That's the take on multiband limiting. Hope it helps. I hope you can learn it and then teach me how to use it next week because I'm still trying to figure it out. Anyways, thanks again, guys. Catch you.